In the world of circus sensations, there are tales that both captivate and disturb. Today, we'll delve into the past and uncover individuals whose rare traits became tickets to a dazzling stage, but often unraveled into a shadowed reality behind the curtain. You'll witness remarkable fates and the most astonishing turns, sparking rumors across America and far beyond its borders. So, are you ready to meet the 15 most unusual circus freaks in history? Well, let's dive right into it. Number 15. Glattis Roy, the Wing Walker. Roy had 3 brothers flying planes for Northwest Airlines, but this bold Minnesota daredevil made her name not in the cockpit, but standing on top of aircraft. Roy became known for barnstorming, wing walking, jumping from planes at altitudes ranging from 100 to 16,000 feet, and even dancing the Charleston mid-flight. But perhaps her most famous stunt was playing a fake game of tennis with Ivan Unger on the wings of a flying biplane, racket and all, just no ball. At her peak, Roy was earning between $200 and $500 per act, about $2,600 to $6,700 today. But by May 1926, she was barely getting $100. Speaking to the Los Angeles Times, she said, "The crowds are beginning to tire of even my most difficult stunts, and so I must necessarily invent new ones. Eventually an accident will occur, and then..." It did, but not mid-air. While posing for a photo, she walked straight into a spinning propeller and was killed instantly at 25. Number 14. The 7 Sutherland Sisters. Their act resembled a G-rated burlesque, not for skin, but for spectacle. Born in New York, sisters Sarah, Victoria, Isabella, Grace, Naomi, Mary, and Dora Sutherland were all gifted vocalists. Under their father's urging, they left his failing turkey farm in the 1880s and took to the stage. While they began as a singing act, it was their dramatic finale that drew crowds and caught P.T. Barnum's attention. As a closing act, each sister let down her meticulously styled hair, revealing 7 feet of thick, flowing, glossy locks. The moment stunned audiences. Men were mesmerized, and women were green with envy. Fletcher, their dad, cashed in by launching Sutherland Sisters hair fertilizer, which made $90,000 in its first year. The booming success of their hair care business allowed them to retire, right as the bob haircut came into fashion. Sadly, fortune didn't protect them. The sisters later faced scandals involving reckless spending, drug abuse, whispered sorcery, and chaotic love affairs. So, you can search Google to learn more. Number 13. The Hilton Sisters. Though conjoined twins were a common part of circus life, none achieved the fame of Daisy and Violet Hilton. Born in 1908 to an unmarried barmaid in the UK, they were taken in by Mary Hilton, the midwife who delivered them. Mary taught them to sing, dance, and play instruments, and introduced them to circus life by the age of 3. In return, she pocketed every cent they earned over 2 decades. Eventually, the twins fought back and sued for their freedom. After winning the case, they became some of the highest-paid acts in vaudeville, earning $5,000 a week. They also appeared in the 1932 cult classic Freaks and starred in Chained for Life in 1952, a film about a murder trial involving one twin. As their fame faded, they turned to burlesque. But by the 1960s, the spotlight had gone. They found work in a Charlotte, North Carolina grocery store. Their lives were later chronicled in Bound by Flesh, 2012. Number 12. The Martian Ambassadors. George and Willie Muse were born in late 19th century Virginia. There were African-American brothers with albinism, which is a genetic condition that stripped their skin and hair of color. In 1899, they were abducted and sold into the world of freak shows, where promoters gave them exotic stage names like Echo and Echo or billed them as Martian Ambassadors. Despite being paraded around as otherworldly beings, the brothers captivated audiences not just through appearance, but through talent. They were skilled musicians and played instruments on stage with precision and passion. For years, they were exploited until their mother tracked them down and launched a legal battle to reclaim their freedom. Their return home was marked by victory and national headlines. Though forced into performance by others, George and Willie carved a legacy of resilience. Their story remains one of exploitation, identity, and triumph. Brothers turned into attractions who eventually found their way back to their names and dignity. Number 11. Annie Jones, the Esau Woman. Though it was her beard that drew attention, it was Annie Jones's wit, charm, and musical talent that made her the most admired bearded woman of her time. Born with facial hair, Jones was still a baby when she caught the eye of P.T. Barnum. He paid her parents a handsome weekly sum, $150 in the 1860s, to exhibit her in his show under the name The Esau Infant, a biblical nod to her early hair growth. She was a popular attraction, but not all the attention was good. On one occasion, while her mother briefly left her in the care of a nanny, Annie was kidnapped by a phrenologist, a man who likely wanted to study the formation of her skull. Luckily, she recovered unharmed. As Annie aged, her stage name evolved, from Esau Infant to Esau Child to Esau Woman, and her mother stayed close at all times, never again letting her out of sight. Number 10. Johnny Eck, the Halfman. Eck, famously known as the Halfman, was born in 1911 in Baltimore. He entered the world without the lower portion of his torso, yet refused to let his condition dictate his future. Johnny built a name for himself as a highly respected performer, celebrated for his athletic acrobatics and dynamic stage energy. Off the stage, he was also an accomplished painter, musician, and film director. His fame surged after starring in the 1932 film Freaks, where he stunned people with his performance and proved that his value went far beyond his appearance. Johnny didn't just challenge society's idea of what's considered normal, he redefined it entirely. He inspired everyone he encountered, not by asking for sympathy, but by demanding recognition through pure talent. His life was marked by success, creativity, and unwavering self-worth. Johnny Eck didn't simply live, he thrived, and his legacy continues to resonate in circus history and beyond. Number 9. Frank Lentini, the Three-Legged Man. Francesco Frank Lentini was born in 1889 in Rossellini, which is located in Sicily, with a very rare congenital deformity. A third leg attached at the side of his body, the result of a parasitic twin that never fully formed. Rather than shy away from public life, Frank embraced his unique condition and used it to create a successful career in sideshows and traveling circuses. At age 8, his family moved to Connecticut, where he was quickly recruited into the entertainment world. Lentini turned his third leg into a highlight act, showcasing stunts like kicking footballs or jumping rope using all three legs. His humor set him apart. He often joked that he needed to eat 15% more than others to feed his extra limb. Despite the spotlight, he remained grounded and used his fame to educate audiences about body differences. Frank wasn't just a performer. He was a storyteller, a showman, and a symbol of confidence through uniqueness. Number 8. Lavery Valley. Lavery, more popularly known by her stage name Charmian, was born in 1875 and became one of the most daring and admired female performers of the late 19th and early 20th centuries. Renowned for her strength and agility, she rose to fame through vaudeville and circus acts that defied the era's norms. One of her most talked-about acts involved performing acrobatic maneuvers while undressing midair on a trapeze, a spectacle that pushed limits and drew packed houses. Charmian wasn't just bold, she was a pioneer. In a time when physical strength was labeled as masculine, she broke the mold, proving that women could be just as strong, just as fearless, and just as commanding. She appeared in theaters and traveling shows, building a reputation as a powerhouse both physically and creatively. She challenged expectations and inspired a lot of women to step into spaces once closed to them and own them unapologetically. Number 7. Ella Harper, the Camel Girl. Ella Harper, widely known as the Camel Girl, was born in 1870 with a rare joint condition called genu recurvatum, which caused her knees to bend backward. This anomaly allowed her to move comfortably on all fours, a characteristic that earned her instant attention from freak show organizers. Ella's career began around the age of 9 under the management of W.H. Harris, and she quickly became a standout act. Posters highlighted her camel-like walk, and her image spread far and wide, turning her into a national curiosity. But Ella's story didn't end in the spotlight. Despite her popularity in the circus world, she left the stage in 1886, choosing to pursue an education and a more private life. Her decision to step away from fame showed a different kind of strength, one rooted in self-direction. Ella Harper remains a rare figure who embraced the stage early but walked away on her own terms. What do you think about her? Number 6. Chang and Ang Bunker. Chang and Ang were born in 1811 in Samut Songkhram, Thailand, then called Siam. They were physically conjoined at the chest with their livers partially fused, a condition that would later turn them into global celebrities. In 1829, they relocated to the United States and gained fame performing at fairs and in circus tents, where their physical bond became the focus of countless exhibitions. They didn't just live in sync, they lived in sync, managing everyday tasks like walking, eating, and running households with astonishing coordination. Defying odds, they both married, raised children, and built families, setting a world record for the most children born to conjoined twins, 21 in total. Though born into the extraordinary, they built ordinary lives. Over time, Chang and Ang became cultural icons, earning a good wealth as they traveled across America. Their legacy remains one of strength, adaptability, and complex humanity. Number 5. Martin Lurel, the Owl Man. Martin Lurel, widely known as the Owl Man, had one of the most bizarre physical talents ever witnessed. He could rotate his head a full 180 degrees. Born in Germany, Martin's extraordinary ability allowed him to turn his head completely backward without moving the rest of his body, leaving audiences stunned. This wasn't a stage trick. It came from years of conditioning and an extremely rare spinal structure that let him dislocate vertebrae without harm. After immigrating to the United States, Lurel began performing in variety shows and sideshows, quickly becoming a headline act. His shows challenged everything people thought was possible for the human body. He amazed crowds across the country, becoming a symbol of mystery and fascination in circus history. His life behind the curtain may have remained mostly private, but on stage, he embodied everything people came to see: the unusual, the astonishing, and the unforgettable. Number 4. Grady Styles, the Lobster Man. Grady Styles, best remembered as the Lobster Man, was born in 1937 with a rare genetic disorder called ectrodactyly, which caused his hands and feet to resemble lobster claws. He started performing in freak shows at a young age, following in the footsteps of his father, who also lived with the same condition. Grady became a well-known figure in the sideshow world, using his claw-shaped limbs to handle props and perform crowd-pleasing stunts. However, his personal life was riddled with tragedy and violence. Known for his explosive temper and abusive behavior, especially under the influence of alcohol, Grady's darker side was no secret. In 1978, he murdered his daughter's fiancé the night before the wedding. Instead of prison time, he was sentenced to probation. In 1992, after years of torment, His wife and son arranged for a hitman to end his life. Grady remains one of the most tragic and haunting figures in freak show history. Number 3. Schlitzy. Schlitzy became one of the most recognizable figures in the sideshow world. He was diagnosed with microcephaly, a neurological condition that resulted in a smaller than average head and developmental differences. But Schlitzy's charm wasn't tied to sympathy. It was in his joy. With a high-pitched voice, playful antics, and a naturally light spirit, he lit up every stage he stepped on. Whether dancing, singing, or simply waving at the crowd, Schlitzy won people over with his energy and warmth. He gained national fame after appearing in the 1932 film Freaks, where he played himself, not as a character, but as a presence that couldn't be forgotten. While often mislabeled or misunderstood, Schlitzy wasn't a gimmick. He was a performer, a spirit, and a genuine crowd favorite. His appearances weren't just entertainment. They left a message of acceptance and joy, reminding audiences that uniqueness can be both powerful and magnetic. Number 2. Alice Elizabeth Daherty, the Werewolf Girl. Alice Elizabeth Daherty, famously called the Werewolf Girl, was born on March 14, 1887 in Minneapolis, Minnesota. Her case was extremely rare. She had hypertrichosis lanuginosa, a condition that caused soft, fine hair called lanugo to grow over her entire body. From a very early age, Alice attracted widespread attention, and her parents made the decision to present her condition in public exhibitions. Despite the spotlight, Alice lived a surprisingly normal life and was always surrounded by the love of her family. Her appearance made her a standout in the traveling sideshows of the time, and she was frequently billed as the Werewolf Girl on circus posters. Her rare disorder became a means of financial support for her family. But unlike many in the freak show circuit, Alice carried herself with quiet strength and grace. She wasn't just displayed, she was respected. Her legacy lives on as one of dignity, resilience, and rare beauty. Number 1. Isaac W. Sprag, the Skeleton Man. Isaac W. Sprag, known as the Skeleton Man, was born in 1841 in East Bridgewater, Massachusetts. From childhood, his body began to deteriorate despite a normal appetite, the result of a mysterious condition that caused severe, unstoppable weight loss. This gave him a hauntingly thin, skeletal frame that turned him into a spectacle. In 1865, he began performing under P.T. Barnum's banner and quickly became a fan favorite. On stage, Isaac wore outfits designed to highlight his extreme thinness, and he often discussed the toll his illness took on daily life. His condition fascinated both doctors and crowds alike, with many theories proposed, from severe muscular atrophy to metabolic disease. Despite the challenges, he carved out a career and maintained a presence that audiences never forgot. Isaac Sprag didn't perform just to be seen. He performed to be heard, to be understood, and to take control of the very thing others pitied. We hope you've enjoyed watching this video. If you did, please like, share, and subscribe for more content like this. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you very soon.